Hey guys, I'm Eric and this is Music Theory Breakdown. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take the Nashville Number System and start making it work for you. We're going to take chord charts and lead sheets that you're already familiar with, and I'm going to show you how to maximize the value that you can get out of those. The kind of chord charts that you find online aren't ideal and they definitely have some problems, which we're going to talk about, but they can be a massively helpful tool if you know how to use them right. I'm going to show you how to apply the Nashville numbers in such a way that you can quickly memorize the chords that are in common keys and start taking the system and turning it into more of a musical instinct. Because that's the goal, right? Music theory doesn't do you any good unless you're actually making music with it, and that's what the Nashville Number System is all about. Like always, I'm going to show you all this stuff with an instrument in hand so you can take the concepts that you're seeing on the screen and start making actual music. So with all of that said, let's get started. All right, welcome back, guys. This is part 3. This is the grand finale in the series on the Nashville Number System. And up to this point, we've really just talked about the theory side and the mechanics and all that kind of stuff. And in this video, I want to show you how to actually make the Nashville Number System work for you in a real world, real life kind of context. So first things first, if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, make sure you go do that. This is not going to make a whole lot of sense unless you've watched those videos beforehand. So with that said, let's dive in here, and we're going to do just a little bit of review on the stuff we covered in the first 2 videos. So in the first one, we talked about scale degrees and how we take our major scale and assign the numbers to the notes and so on and so forth, and how that applies to all 12 keys. Then we expanded on that concept, and instead of just dealing with individual notes, we started to deal with chords. So now we have chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5, chord 6, chord 7, and back to chord 1, okay? And so that's what we're going to use today. Remember, this really is the heart of Nashville numbers, is the chords, and we're going to use that today on some written music. Now, written music, the reason it exists at all is because for centuries there was no way to record music, and so the only way to communicate it with somebody was to write it down. We're very fortunate today to live in the world we do because recordings are so easy to come by, and that gives us the luxury of also making more casual ways of writing music. And so one of the probably the more most casual, actually, way to write music is this thing we call the chord chart. These are real common online. If you're like a church musician, you've probably seen these a lot, maybe every week. So chord charts are what you see here on the right side of the screen. They are just the lyrics, and they've kind of got chords listed above them. They are not the best. They don't indicate rhythm or timing, meaning you can see the chords listed there, but they're just chords on top of lyrics. They don't tell you exactly when you're supposed to be playing those chords. I think they're a hot mess to look at, frankly. There's just so much information there. It's not very well organized. For me, visually, it's just not very appealing. It's not very simple. And then a lot of times, honestly, they're just kind of flat out wrong. They'll just tell you the wrong chords to play, even ones that are straight from an artist's website. That doesn't mean they're useless. In fact, they're very useful if you know how to make sense of them, which is what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So another real common kind of written music is this thing called the lead sheet, and that will combine traditional musical notation with written chords above each of those measures. These are a lot more specific. They're more organized. They do indicate rhythm and timing, but they look a little scary. For most musicians, we frighten easily. So there's that. So that leads me to a question that I get often when I'm teaching lessons or just generally, which is should I learn to read sheet music? And the answer to that is, like many other things, it depends. It depends on what your musical goals are. Now, if you're going to go to music school proper, like a college kind of thing, you're going to have to learn to read music. I mean, I had to, and I suggest you learn to read it before you get into school because it will probably, it's a fairly hard thing to pick up quickly. And if you're going to play jazz or classical, if you're an orchestral instrument or woodwinds, you have to learn to read music, especially in jazz as well. It's just so common to do lead sheets. So for the rest of us, though, honestly, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's really not necessary, and there's thousands of legendary musicians who've never read a lick of music in their life. So there's that. So today we are going to take the Nashville Number System, and we're going to apply it to chord charts, mostly because they're very common. And like I said, you can get a lot of use out of these things. The first thing we need to talk about then is that when you're looking at one of these charts, the first thing you need to know about the song you're looking at is what key is it in. Now, the good charts are just going to tell you straight up, this is in the key of D, like this chart. They don't always, and so I'm going to show you how to use the Nashville numbers, the cheat sheet, in order to figure out what key the song is in. And then I also want to clear something up right now, which is this really weird myth that I hear specifically young musicians say, like, oh yeah, the key of the song, well, that's just, the first chord that you see on the chart. Or no, it's just, the first chord you see in the chorus. Okay, that is just not true. It's patently false. There's more evidence for Bigfoot than for that being a effective way to find the key of a song. So that's wrong. Get that out of your head if you think that, and swiftly punch anyone who ever tells you that. And I'm gonna show you the right way to figure out the key of a song, and I promise it's not that hard. So today we are working with 10,000 Reasons, real popular worship song by Matt Redman. If you're not doing church music, don't worry. Everything I'm about to show you still applies to pretty much every style of music there is. Okay, so this chart does tell us straight up, hey, this song is in the key of D. If you see the letters alone like that, D represents major, okay? There is minor keys. This one is just saying, hey, D major. Okay, but what if it didn't tell you what key it was in? And then maybe another good question is, well, what if I wanted to play this song in a different key? Well, we're going to start with looking at the chords we have available to us, and then we're going to use the cheat sheet to figure that out. So, first chord in this song begins with the chorus is G. Then we've got a D chord. Then we've got this chord, this A over C sharp. This is called an inversion. Some people call them slash chords. I'm going to do a whole video explaining these. All you need to know for now, though, is the chord on the left is the important one. So this is an A chord. It's just a special type of A chord. Okay, then the next chord you got is a B minor, and honestly, that's it. Those chords just kind of repeat throughout the song in various orders, but that's essentially it. So we've got 4 chords to work with here, and that's 4 out of the 7 chords that define a key. Okay, so we're at least halfway there, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this. This is the Nashville Numbers cheat sheet, and we're going to use this to figure out the key. Now, just a couple of quick notes about this. What you're looking at here is a sheet that is going to tell you all the chords and all the notes you need to play in all 12 different keys. And so obviously the red ones are minor, the black ones are major, and there's the one diminished there. So the key is decided by what's in the one column you see on either end. And so if you wanted to play a song in B flat major, you kind of scroll down, find your little B flat, and you now know you play B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. Okay, makes sense. And so we're going to use this with the chords that we have, those 4 chords from our song. We're going to see if we can figure out what key we're in. Now, here's the hack. Here's the crucial piece of information. Every chord only occurs in 3 different keys. So if you look at this little graph, now you're going to see G a lot of different times, but specifically a G major chord is only going to occur 3 times. It's going to occur as the 1 major, as the 4 major, and as the 5 major. Okay, so there's only 3 possibilities. So here's our G, first chord of our song. That limits our options then. This song can only be in the key of C, the key of D, or the key of G. Okay, it's going to be one of those 3. Okay, now the same is true for our next chord, which is a D major. And the D major, again, occurs in 3 places, but of the 3 options we have so far, it only occurs in 2 of them. So that kind of narrows it down even further. So now it's going to be either the key of D or the key of G. Okay, and I bet you can guess what's going to happen next. We're going to go to our next chord in the progression, the A major, and it turns out D major, G major, and A major only occur in 1 key, and that is the key of D. Okay, now we didn't even have to get to that B minor chord to establish this. Now notice the B minor is in there, that's the 6th chord, but all we needed was a few chords to figure out what key we're in. Now, I want to also say here, you're not going to have to go through this process every time you look at a chord chart. You're going to really quickly start to memorize the common chords in a key, and this will become just second nature to you in no time, especially if you do chord charts on a regular basis with like the same singers, that kind of thing. So, all right, so back to our chord chart here. We know we're in the key of D, and what we're going to do next is we're going to take the cheat sheet, and then we're going to take the chord chart, and you're going to write yourself, quick side note, make sure you use an actual pen and paper to do this. It's going to make it a lot more concrete. I promise you it's the best way to learn this. Okay, so you're going to take your Nashville Numbers cheat sheet, you're going to take your chord chart, and you're going to write yourself a legend up there at the top. So numbers 1 through 7. And then you're going to write down the chords, in this case the key of D, so D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, and C sharp. And then what we're going to do is we're going to write these numbers, the corresponding numbers, on top of the chords in the chart. So first chord there is going to be G. We're going to look over our legend, okay? 4, or G is 4. I'm going to write the 4 above that. Okay, the next chord is a D. Okay, D is the 1 chord. Write the 1. And the next chord is our special inversion. Again, what matters here is the chord on the left. This is an A chord, so this is going to be, look over the graph. Okay, this is or the legend. This is an A, which is 5. Now, quick note: this is a 5/7 chord. Again, I'll explain this in detail, but it's a 5/7 because 5 is A, C sharp is 7. You get the idea. Okay, our last chord there in this line is a B minor, which is the 6th chord. And what we're going to do is just continue that process for the rest of the song and just write those numbers out. Now, the next thing we're going to do, and like I said before, this is going to help you memorize the key very quickly because these chords repeat all the time. The next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to play the music, but we're going to play the music looking at the numbers as we play along, and then more specifically, we're going to say those numbers out loud as we play it. Okay, so we're going to look at our chart and go, okay, G, so 4, 1, 5/7, 6, 4, 1, 5. Okay, and what this is going to do for you as you play along like that and say those out loud, the first thing it's going to do is your brain is going to associate, okay, G is 4, D is 1. That's going to start happening on its own. The next thing that's going to happen is it's going to train your hands to go, okay, G shape is 4, D shape is 1, A shape is 5. And the last thing and the most important thing it's going to do is it's going to train your ear to hear this chord as 4. And you're going to hear that chord as 1, this chord as 5. So what that's doing for you is it's developing what I'm calling a musical instinct, okay? There's a lot of information on this sheet in front of us right now. Got a bunch of numbers, got a bunch of chords, and what you're doing in this process is you're doing the thinking now. You're putting the thinking in on the front end so that you can start playing music with more of an instinct, so you can start feeling your way through it. When you start to hear these relationships, you can start feeling a lot more confident, not just about what's going on the paper, but the song you're actually hearing. Okay, this is what's going to start making you, a better musician. So you're going to do this process for the whole song and do this on, different songs, different keys, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to really quickly, memorize the keys, memorize those sounds, all this stuff will become instinct. But something else I want to show you that the system is going to do for you is it's going to help you simplify the song itself. So same song here, 10,000 Reasons. We've got these verses. We've got a whole slew of text and chords and stuff again. And I'm going to show you how to kind of simplify, break this down. Now, there's a lot of repetition in music, and you're going to notice here, we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to number our chords. So we got 4, 1, 5, 6. That's the first line. That line repeats again, and then again. And wouldn't you know it, if you look down at verse 2, 4, 1, 5, 6, that line repeats quite a bit, okay? So what we can do then is we could simplify this big chunk of text and say the chord progression for the verses in this song is 4, 1, 5, 6, okay? So we can take half a sheet of paper and narrow it down to just one little line of 4 different numbers, okay? And that's the progression. Now, so this makes it easier to remember the song. It makes it easier to transpose the song, all that different kind of stuff. So that's kind of my last little tidbit, and you will find that very useful. I'm going to show you how to make a whole chord chart like that in a later video. So this chord chart here, go download this, go use this on every song you can get your hands on, and you're going to be a boss at this in no time. And I just want to say right now, this Nashville Numbers cheat sheet, the reason I made this, I actually made this for myself, specifically that last graph you saw, because I was learning this. It was taking me a long time. I made this for myself to kind of help kind of get myself there. And so I want to give that to you just as a free resource. Now, it took me years to kind of assemble all this stuff. I want to make this something that you can get in like a few days. So go download this. There's some other helpful charts on there. And I just want to say thanks for watching. This has been really fun for me to make, and I plan on making a ton more content based around the stuff you just saw in this series. So if you're interested in that, subscribe. I've got more cool stuff coming down the pike. And thumbs up, thumbs down if you like the video. And then specifically leave comments. I love to hear from people. I want to know if this is helping you or if something needs to be clearer or anything like that. So with all that said, guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.